Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we pull back the curtain on corporate filings and try to uncover if these companies are playing it straight or cooking the books. Today we've got Worksport Ltd and their latest proxy statement. It is a bit of a dry read, but often these documents hold the real story behind the headlines. So buckle up, because we're about to dive in. Also, if you like getting these kinds of insights without all the corporate jargon, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. And don't forget, we have a fantastic Discord community where we break down these filings even further, so join us there, link in the description. So what we're looking at here is a Schedule 14 filing, essentially a document that companies send out to shareholders before their annual meetings. It lays out all the important stuff that shareholders will be voting on. Think of it as the agenda and the company's official pitch for why you should vote their way. It tells you about the meeting date, the proposals, and who is asking for your vote. The big news up front is that Worksport Ltd itself is filing this document, meaning they're the ones sending out the proxy materials to their shareholders. This is pretty standard for an annual shareholder meeting. This document is for their 2025 annual meeting of stockholders, scheduled for the 11th of December 2025. They're inviting you to their headquarters in West Seneca, New York. Now, at this meeting, they've got a pretty packed agenda. First up, they're asking you to elect 5 directors. These are the folks who steer the ship. They've nominated Stephen Rossi, Lorenzo Rossi, Craig Loverock, William Caragol, and Ned L. Siegel. They'll hold their positions until the next annual meeting in 2026. Next, they want you to ratify the appointment of Lumsden and McCormick LLP as their auditors for the fiscal year ending the 31st of December 2025. Basically, they're asking if you agree with their choice of who will check their financial books. Then there is proposal number 3, which is about approving and ratifying certain stock option grants that were given out even though they weren't part of the usual plan. This is often done to keep key people motivated and on board. Proposal 4 is interesting. They want to amend their Worksport Ltd 2022 Equity Incentive Plan. The key changes are switching the way more shares are added to the pool, from once a year to every 3 months, and increasing the percentage of shares that can be added from 15 to 18%. This tells us they want to have more shares available for their incentive programs more frequently. And finally, Proposal 5 is an adjournment proposal. This is basically a backup plan. They're asking for permission to postpone the meeting if they need more time to get more votes or sort out any issues. Now, they've laid out a whole Q&A section to help you understand the voting process. It covers how to vote, what your choices are, and what counts as a vote. It is important to know how your shares are represented. The people who own Worksport common stock and series of preferred stock as of the 16th of October 2025 are the ones who get to vote. It is interesting to note that the series of preferred stock holds 51% of the voting power, and Stephen Rossi, the CEO, owns 100% of that stock. This gives him significant control. This explains how your shares are represented if you hold them directly or through a broker. It is crucial to follow the instructions provided to make sure your vote counts. They've also got a whole section detailing the directors and executive officers. Let's take a quick look at some of these folks. Stephen Rossi is the Chief Executive Officer, President, Secretary, and Chair of the Board. He's been with the company since 2014, founded the main operating company, and holds several patents. He seems to be the driving force behind this company. Michael Johnston is the Chief Financial Officer. Hez also a partner at an accounting firm, Yuhi Forbes Anderson. His role is to help with new business budgets and cash flow. Lorenzo Rossi is a director and is Stephen Rossi's father. He has a background in computer science and education. Craig Loverock is a director and the chair of the audit committee. He is a CPA with extensive experience in accounting and finance. He is considered an independent director. William Caragol is a director and the chair of the compensation committee. He has a background in finance and has served on the boards of other public companies. He is also considered an independent director. Ned L. Siegel is a director and the chair of the nominating and corporate governance committee. He has a very diverse background, including roles as a US ambassador and working with international business management. He too is considered an independent director. This section is all about how the company is run at the top level. They talk about their code of conduct, how the board oversees risks, and the independence of their directors. It is good to see they have independent directors on key committees like the audit and compensation committees. This helps ensure decisions are made in the best interest of all shareholders, not just management. They explain that the board, along with its committees, is responsible for overseeing risks. The audit committee focuses on financial risks, the compensation committee on risks related to pay and people, and the nominating and corporate governance committee on governance risks. This shows a structured approach to managing potential problems. They've explicitly stated that Craig Loverock, William Caragol, and Ned L. Siegel are independent directors. This is crucial for good corporate governance. Having independent directors means there is a check and balance on the executive team. The audit committee, made up of these independent directors, reviews and discusses the company's financial statements with the independent auditors. They've reviewed the financials for the year ended the 31st of December 2024. This is always an interesting part. Here we find out how much the top executives are paid. They've provided a summary compensation table for Stephen Rossi, Michael Johnston, and Lorenzo Rossi for 2024 and 2023. Let's look at the numbers for Stephen Rossi. His total compensation in 2024 was around $388,000, made up of salary and some option awards which were modified. In 2023, it was much higher at over $6 million, mainly due to significant stock option awards. This kind of fluctuation in executive pay, especially when tied to stock options, is common. For Michael Johnston, his compensation was about $70,000 in both 2024 and 2023 for services related to his accounting firm. Lorenzo Rossi received around $272,000 in 2024 and 2023 for his compensation. This table shows what equity awards are still outstanding for the named executives. For Stephen Rossi, he has a number of stock options expiring in the coming years, many with an exercise price that was updated to $7.042. This gives us insight into how much equity compensation is still on the table and what performance metrics might be tied to it. They've also detailed their 2022 equity incentive plan. This plan is designed to attract and retain talent by offering incentives tied to the company's stock performance. It is important to see how much stock is reserved and how it is replenished. They did mention that as of the 1st of January 2025, the number of shares authorized under this plan was 525,185. This section also covers the details of how options and other awards are granted, exercised, and what happens if employment ends. Here is how the directors are compensated. For 2024, the independent directors like Craig Loverock, William Carrigal, and Ned L. Siegel received a mix of fees and option awards totaling between about $25,000 and $54,000. Non-independent directors like Lorenzo Rossi received a much larger amount, over $214,000, which includes his salary and other compensation. This highlights the difference in compensation structures for independent versus executive directors. This is where we see who actually owns the company's stock. Stephen Rossi owns a significant chunk of the common stock, about 6.99%. He also holds that controlling series of preferred stock. The total for all officers and directors combined is around 7.82%. This gives us a clear picture of who has a vested interest in the company's success. This is the section detailing the order to ratification. They've provided a breakdown of fees paid to Lumsden and McCormick LLP for 2024 and 2023. Let's look at those numbers. For 2024, the total fees were about $187,300, and for 2023, they were around $216,086. This includes audit fees, audit-related fees, tax fees, and other fees. This proposal is about approving those non-planned stock option grants we mentioned. The board believes these are essential for retaining talent and aligning interests. If shareholders don't approve this, those options may not be exercisable. This is where they detail the proposed changes to the equity incentive plan. The board is pushing for quarterly increases to the share pool instead of annual ones, and they want to bump the percentage from 15 to 18%. This is a move to ensure they have enough shares to continue awarding incentives as they grow. The plan was originally approved by stockholders at the 2022 annual meeting. Worksport seems to be very focused on using equity as a tool for motivation and retention, especially among its leadership team. The proposed changes to the incentive plan suggest they anticipate continued growth or significant hiring and want to ensure they can reward their team accordingly. The control held by Stephen Rossi through his series of preferred stock is also a major factor in how the company is run. Now, looking at this filing, a few things stand out. The company is clearly prioritizing its equity incentive programs, and the proposed amendments indicate a forward-looking strategy to manage its share pool for future growth and talent acquisition. Stephen Rossi's substantial control is also a key element to consider for any investor. While the proxy statement itself doesn't contain the latest financial performance numbers, it lays the groundwork for understanding the company's governance and compensation structure, which are critical pieces of the puzzle for assessing its overall health and direction. What does this mean for the company? On one hand, a strong focus on incentives and a clear leadership structure can drive performance. On the other hand, concentrated ownership and significant equity awards, while motivating, always warrant a closer look at dilution and long-term long-term value creation for all shareholders. The upcoming annual meeting will be an important indicator of shareholder sentiment on these proposals, particularly the equity plan amendments. Alright, that is our breakdown of Worksport's latest filing. What are your thoughts on their equity strategy and the control structure? Let us know in the comments below if you found this deep dive helpful. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. And don't forget to join our Discord community for bonus content and discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next decode.